Yeah.
We are live. We are live.
Hi. Hello, everyone. We're laughing because we wish we were recording earlier. So welcome, everybody. So today's topic is where self-trust go, and it's something I feel we all want to kind of share our own journeys, our own insights, our own perspectives. And just to kind of put it out there, just before, this is an organic, natural conversation. But just before coming on, I was just kind of reflecting, with the work I've done in my own journey, what does it even look like not to trust ourselves? And some of the things that came into my awareness of things I've seen, some things from my own journey, are things when we seek other people's opinions and we kind of push our own to the side, when we kind of procrastinate because we're fearing that we'll make the wrong decision or choice, self-censorship. We don't really speak what we really want to say. We might even overshare. We might want control because we want kind of certainty because we don't trust in our abilities and our skills to navigate the kind of unknown. We might make promises to ourselves and then we kind of prioritize other things. We may not know who we are. We might go, who am I when I haven't got my professional hat on or my parent hat on? What are my dreams? Because we're kind of more disconnected from our inner self, our own inner worlds. So I'm super, super, super excited to really kind of explore this topic. But first off, as we always do when we kind of meet together, we invite a little pause because life is busy. Our minds can often be ahead of time or thinking about what we've just done. So we just like to invite a pause. It is an invitation. So whatever you're doing right now, this is an invitation just to kind of really self-connect, really kind of drop into ourselves rather than outside of ourselves. So can I just kind of invite you? I just want you to check in actually what is right for you. If you want to close your eyes, if you want to keep your eyes open, if you want to relax your eyes. So I really want to bring choice into this. And what I just want to invite you to do, if you're standing or you're sitting, allow your kind of feet to be on the ground. And really, really feel into your feet. Really notice. It's almost like all your awareness is kind of just dropping down into your feet. And just feeling the difference between the toes and the heel, the width, the length of the foot. Even noticing the toes, the big toe to the small toe. Noticing the space in between the toes. And as you're holding that awareness in your feet, just notice your breath. And if any thoughts come, just allow them to come like clouds. And then just bring your awareness gently back into those feet. And now I just want to invite you just to kind of move your knees. And as you kind of move your knees, if you're able to do so, just check how that feels different in your feet. And maybe you want to move your feet a different direction, your knees in a different direction. And then I just want to invite you just to do a body scan. So working up from your feet, coming up the legs and all the way up to the body, just really checking in what you're noticing. And noticing any kind of tensions or maybe heaviness that you're just becoming aware of. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. We're just noticing. And now I just want to invite, as you kind of notice maybe where it feels a little bit heavy or it feels a little bit more restricted or a little bit tense, I want to invite you to see what your body wants to do. Just to notice something like a nice movement that this part of the body is asking for. And then if you decided that your body wants that movement, I just want to invite you just to take a pause. And just really feeling back into those feet. Noticing your whole body. Noticing your head to your toe, to your toes to your head. And just give yourself a scan again and just notice if the breath has changed. If that tension is the same or a little bit different or completely different. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. And just meeting yourself in this moment. And just in your own time, just bring yourself back into this space. Maybe you want to look around your room before you look at the screen, just to notice maybe 2 things in your room, just to kind of bring yourself back into this space together. I really felt my hips needed moving then. It's like, carry so much tension in those hips. Yeah. So just checking in. All right, ladies?
Yes. Thank you,
That was
Kelly.
lovely. Thank you.
Lovely.
Thank
Really
you.
nice.
Yeah, my hips had the same feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, we as ladies carry so much in these hips, isn't it? Yeah, and just to kind of that self-trust, and where did my self-trust go? I know Carla has beautifully put something together.
Oh, yes.
Move it over to Carla.
Shall I share it?
Please do.
Okay. So, okay. And maybe I can start by explaining why I had to create this, because when we agreed that the self-trust would be one of the things that we wanted to discuss today, I got so confused with so many other concepts that we talk about frequently. We talk about, and I have them here. So the self-trust, the self-love, the self-esteem, the self-worth, self-confidence. And I just started, oh my God, what's the difference between all these concepts? Are they the same? Are they completely different? Is there any relationship between them? Are they connected somehow? And then I did a lot of research and then created this lovely sketch that tries to reflect what I found online about each one of these concepts to try to create some clarity on my mind. And the first reflection that I have, maybe shall I read them? I don't know if people will be able to see them very clearly. So I can share the sketch if you want, if you are watching live or on the recording. And if you want a copy of this sketch, just DM me or comment, and I will send it to you. Because I think it helps bring some clarity as well on the topics. And what I found in terms of self-trust is trusting in your abilities, judgment, and decisions. It's about having confidence in your capacity to navigate challenges, make choices, and follow through on commitments. So, this is what I found in terms of what self trust is. If we move to self love, it says deep appreciation, acceptance, and compassion for yourself. It's treating yourself with kindness and prioritizing your well being, recognizing your worthiness regardless of external validation or achievements. Then we have self esteem, overall subjective evaluation of your worth and value. It is feelings of self respect, self acceptance, self confidence. High self esteem is having a positive self image of feeling worthy of love, respect, and success. Then we move to self worth, another one. It's the inherent value and dignity that you possess simply by being human. It's the understanding that you are deserving of respect, happiness, love, fulfillment, regardless of external factors. And then lastly, the self confidence piece, which is the belief in your abilities, skills, and competence in specific areas. Is trusting in your capability to accomplish tasks, achieve goals, and handle challenges and opportunities effectively. So there's a lot of similarities in around all these concepts. And my first reaction when I saw all this was, wow, that's a lot. There's a lot here. But immediately, two things. One thing I liked to me is self-love, self-esteem, and self-worth seem more internal, and self-trust and confidence seem more external focused. What do you think?
Well, for me, I come back to this is very much all these aspects have been part of my personal journey over, I don't know, 10 years, wherever it's been. And for me, the self-trust is the foundation of all the other four. And the reason why I say
Okay.
this is just my perception, yeah. So the reason why I say that is because when we're born as babies, we come in and we trust our urges, we trust our senses. So when we're hungry, we cry because we know that feeling, that sensation. We don't understand emotions, but we cry and we go, I'm hungry. If I need connection, I might say that. If I'm older, I might verbalize it, or I may even have a temper tantrum if my needs and desires aren't being met. Or if I feel drawn to something intuitively, then I'll naturally do it because as children, we're really present. So what I feel happens is, like Gabor Mate will say, is that we've always got these two needs between attachment and authenticity. And attachment will always trump authenticity because we need to feel belonged as a human being. So then what that means, if we need to feel belonged and we can't trust our own sensations and our own internal needs and our desires that comes from inside our bodies, then we have to kind of push them to the side and become what we believe we need to become to be belonged. So then we disconnect from our feelings, we disconnect from our emotions, we disconnect from our intuition, and then we don't get the right messages how we love ourselves, how we experience and evaluate ourselves, how much we how we measuring our worth. Are we measuring it from what we believe we need to be to kind of who we need to be to feel belonged and loved and accepted? And then where's that confidence? Are we chasing confidence? Where's that confidence come from? Are we really seeing who we really are if we're not kind of connected with something much more deeper within ourselves? So in my own reflection, and this I'm only speaking from my own kind of process, is that the self-trust part of trusting my internal landscape, my internal senses, my internal feelings has been as dance to the other four. So yeah, but yeah, what are other ladies' thoughts? You might have completely different perception of mine. So yeah, what are other people thinking here? Davina?
Such an interesting topic. I was thinking the same as Carla in these descriptions, that the ones that seem external, the ones that seem internal. But what none of them mention is, and maybe that's just because I don't know why, but intuition isn't mentioned. And so for me, like, that's what self-trust is that gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, intuition, feeling in the waters, trusting that and like acting on it. So for me, if I have self-trust, it's because I get that feeling and I act on it. And that for me is what the self-trust is. And for all the things that you said, Kelly, is why I feel it gets eroded away, because your gut instinct may not be the same as the others around you. And you don't want to feel out of the pack, because if you go left and everyone goes right, you will be alone. And so you just kind of grow up, like you say, kind of molding yourself to what either your family, your friends, or society feel that you should be. And that instinct, which I think we all have and all born with, doesn't go away, but just gets pushed back further and further and further. And then you get more afraid to trust it because you haven't trusted it for so long. Because I still think even when, for all the years that go forward and as you grow up, that the gut instinct is still there. So like it might still happen, but you'll just never trust it. You don't go with it because you're just like, oh, that's probably not what's happening. That person probably isn't like that, or I'm still going to go to that place anyway. And you just push it down. It just because no one teaches you how to trust in it. I feel that's me anyway. Geeta, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I love this subject, and also it's also brings up quite a lot of I don't know, feelings of vulnerability, because it's a journey. We've each been on individual journeys with our own self-trust. And I know for myself, when I reflect back, as a young person, it was really strong within me, and I didn't understand what it was. I just thought everyone had it. This and the intuition part, which hasn't been mentioned on these definitions, was really strong. And interestingly, it's the erosion of it over time by this sense of wanting to belong, um, which is actually really quite sad when we think about it. Like, be it through the situations we find ourselves in, or the relationships we undertake, within our family, friendships, romantic, whatever it might be, work, and how we as human beings actually contribute to the erosion of one another's self-trust.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And I know, most of us don't mean to. And the beautiful journey of building that bridge back up within ourselves, and and the insights it gives you, actually, and how it can actually really strengthen, that bridge and that place of knowing. For some people, it's as Davina described, a gut instinct. For some people, it is just a knowing that comes in. It can represent itself in different ways, I believe, for different people. And the key is actually as it says, to trust it and not override it. Because how many times have you had a knowing, and then the mind kicks in, and then you override it?
Mm-hmm.
That's been my experience anyway. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so powerful. And it's something you said there, Geeta, and I just want to put that question out to you all, is that it's this rebuilding that bridge. So, we learn so much about who we are from the environment, through relationships. And I'm just really curious, maybe what that self-trust looked like for you ladies, in learning to rebuild it. And
It's a very good question.
Yeah. Do you want to go, Carla? I'm feeling drawn to you.
I can start for sure, yes, but because for me, all of these things are connected. And you mentioned, well, before we joining the live, you were talking about, like, it's almost, Kelly, it's like a dance, and they are all, and I agree, the self-trust, the self-esteem, the self-love, self-worth, self-confidence, self-respect, all of these don't exist by itself. It just as one thing. They are all part of something. I don't know what I will call it. Maybe our true selves could be the thing, our true self, and it comes back to who we are, right? And I've since my childhood, and until now, I'm 51. There's been moments where each one of these have been different, in different circumstances, different phases of life, which is interesting. If I would have kind of a timeline, actually, it would be interesting, an exercise that I might able do throughout my life in the different phases of life. How was my self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, self-trust? Because they were quite different at different points. And I never realized that because I didn't have the understanding that I have today. Today, and most recently, I'm working on my, I would say, self-worth. And I'm saying self-worth because it's my essence. who I am and not thinking about anything else in terms of, and everything comes back to the external validation, right? Because we are afraid of looking bad externally. For example, we are here on the live, a lot of people watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook. Um, and before, very recently, I would be worried what people will think, how it will look. Will I say something wrong? Will I make a mistake in a word I say? What, will people think that I'm wrong, right? And it doesn't matter. That's the thing. For me today is my self-trust, my self-esteem, my self-love, my self-worth, my self-confidence are okay. I wouldn't say they are amazing because I still believe there's a journey that will continue, but they're okay. And I'm happy with it. I, at this point, it doesn't matter to me what other people think and if I look good or if I look bad. To me, as you say, the most important thing is I am my authentic self. And it will resonate with some people and it will not resonate with others. But it has been a journey. And with a lot of the women I work in my coaching and in my personal relationships, there's always something in one of these or all of these at some point that we need to work on. And but that's fine. And we can help each other work on all of these or wherever we need at some point and being aware of where we need work because it's a journey. I do believe it's a journey.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Carla. I just felt like, oh, my heart. That really spoke to me, and I absolutely echo it. For me, it is a journey, and for me personally, especially in my teens and my 20s, I would say even early 30s, like people pleasing was my like literally survival strategy of feeling belonged and accepted and enough. So my self-trust, I was abandoning myself to please other people. So even though the kind of there's a lot more space around this now because I have the awareness, and it doesn't seem such an issue in my life, but it still pops up. And real thing I'm living right now is my dad is disabled and he's in a care home. And I was coming from a place of guilt and like a rescuer, thinking, oh God, I gotta be there all the time, gotta be there twice a week, take him out and stuff. And in the end, I could feel my nervous system just like exhaust fumes. You just feel exhausted as well as doing all the other stuff I'm doing, being a mum and everything on top. And then I had to check in with myself and go, where am I abandoning myself in this? If I tune in, which is for me is tuning in, is that self-trust is really seeing what's happening for me, being honest with myself. When I came to that honesty, I was like, I can't keep going at this because my health is going to tip over the edge. So then I had to check in what patterns were playing out, which again was rescue, please other people, abandon self. So I had to draw that back in and go, okay, what is a win? And now I've completely, the guilt is, because I've addressed the guilt rather than the guilt kind of take me on a journey. I could see what was playing out. I could see it from a bit of space. I make completely different decisions. So now there is a much more win for my dad, win for me, and win for my family because I'm less burnt out and I can give more to other areas of my life that's really important. So, and it completely is a journey, and it does take self-reflection, it does take self-honesty, and in my own journey, it really takes us to pause and check in what is happening inside. Our bodies are always speaking to us, and if we don't listen and keep pushing, forcing, that's when everything kind of falls apart. And I have had that fall apart stage as well. So, so I think, that real listening to ourselves and being honest with ourselves and accepting where we're at is so, so important. And
I wanted to say something on that, Kelly, that part, because I think for some, I know for me as well, I was a big people pleaser as well. But I thought that if I chose myself, that the world would cave in and everything would just fall apart. But I've actually found as I've leaned more into my desires and what I want, that hasn't been the case. Actually, things have flourished. So I want to put out there as well as a question that if you choose yourself, what do you think is going to happen? Is there and maybe look into that part that you're afraid of, because maybe that's not the case. Maybe somebody that you might need to have a boundary with is waiting for you to have a boundary, and that they then just accept it, and then you're like, oh right, I've been thinking about this for years, and I really thought that this was going to end our relationship, and then actually you've just said, oh okay, and you're like, what? Why have I been worrying about this for 5 years when it's just fine? So sometimes we think the worst is going to happen, but it may not. It may actually be the best thing that happens.
Yeah, we create stories. We create a lot of stories around everything, right? As you say, just our minds are really powerful, and they can be our best friend or our worst enemy.
Yeah, I think you've just hit the nail on the head. The word that was going on in my head, the stories we attach to. And I completely resonate with everything you shared, Kelly, because I was a carer for my parents through my 20s. And if I had the wisdom I have now back then, maybe I wouldn't have, overridden my self-trust, and also this whole aspect of actually honoring myself and my needs, and that is okay. And because I did, I had my burnout when I was 30, a severe burnout, and and then I had another one because I didn't learn my lesson the first time. And interestingly, now on my journey, there's been some really big life changes, and the version of me before would have kept putting everyone else's needs before my own because of the deep conditioning that I had growing up. I knew the dog would bark.
We knew it. We knew it. Here it is.
You're on the podcast too, don't worry.
Agreeing.
Yeah. But now at this time in my life, what's beautiful and what I'm witnessing and answering your question, Davina, actually what could happen, Sam, is that everyone else has actually, you see the ripple effect of actually honoring your own needs, because energetically we're all connected, especially with our loved ones. And where you think by putting yourself last and them before you, it actually has a reverse effect. Because actually when you're we had the name, didn't we, fill your cup before for the last 4 years, didn't we? If you fill your own cup, but not just fill it, overflow into the saucer and then pour from your saucer and keep your own cup full, then energetically you won't get to this point of feeling completely depleted, and you can still honor yourself and be there for others, which I think does have this whole link to trusting that you will make good decisions, and the decisions you make for yourself will benefit and ripple out to everyone else.
What were some of the first things that you did, or all of you, to start building the trust that other people could maybe try? So people out there that know that, yeah, I do this all the time. I have a feeling of I don't want to do this, but I do it anyway. And then I get proven right that I shouldn't have done it, or whatever it might be. But just that constant pushing back that intuition, what's something that people could do to just begin to start trusting again?
Yeah, I don't mind coming in here. I think clearly anything, when I think back, everything has got to start with self-awareness, because you can't change anything you're not aware of. So first of all, it's checking in where maybe you're feeling absolutely something doesn't feel right, or something feels you feel maybe energy depleted, or just like checking in, with yourself. Where is my self-trust when listening to this conversation? Where is this in my story right now? So kind of growing that kind of self-awareness, but also the self-acceptance is where that real honesty comes in. So being able to go, I'm okay, it's okay where you're at, but also how you meet yourself. Because to build like any relationship, we ladies have always been vulnerable together because I feel safe too. So we need to create that safety inside ourselves. So how are we meeting when we're honest with ourselves? Even maybe emotions we have been told are bad, like angry, or things like that. It's just checking in. Okay, I feel like this. I accept this feeling, or what is going on for me right now. And then just also check in, how are you meeting it? Are you being hard on yourself? Are you saying the shoulds? Are you being, you're wrong? How are you meeting yourself, and starting to change that meeting within yourself? Because the more we can bring that compassion into ourselves, how we meet ourselves, like we would with a friend that we care about, then we don't create this distrust inside ourselves that we can't be honest. So we're creating that internal safety. And if that can be in any way, but that creating space for yourself to be able to do that is so important. Even if it's 5 minutes, you don't need a lot of time. Just start. That's the only thing. Start really checking with yourself. Where does self-trust look like in my life? And how am I meeting myself when I explore how I'm feeling, how I'm experiencing myself in life? So really cultivate that relationship with yourself. That's what I would say.
I love that.
Pass the baton on. Carla, you feel what was bubbling?
Yeah, I can share, because for me, what really worked, not only in terms of self-trust, but all the other things that we talked about, self-love, self-esteem, was measuring my successes and achievements. Because usually our brain is always looking for what's missing, and that someday I will do this, or someday I will be happy when, or I will be wherever when. So what I've changed, and my friends can witness that, is that I celebrate the small things. So I really look back at my life long term, since I was, I don't know, a teenager, and then when I started my career at school. But even now, for example, every day, every week, I look back and I say, okay, what did I achieve? Where was I, and where I am now? And look at the progress, the compound of the growth. So, and that's really helped build my self-trust, my confidence, my self-esteem, self-love, all these small things. It's looking at what we've gained, what we've achieved. So something simple that I highly recommend, that we all can do very easily, is at the end of our day, just think about, you don't even need to write it. If you like to write it, write it. But if you're not a journaling person, just think about it. 3 things on that day that are win, even small things, right? Like, for example, oh, today actually I was able to do a 5 minutes walk. Very small, 3 things. And then think about, what 3 things will I win tomorrow? Even if you don't, it doesn't matter. During the night, your brain will be thinking about wins, about gains, about positive things. And that's been a strategy that I've adopted many, many years ago, and really, really helped me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carla.
It's an interesting one. What I would add to this is, depending on where you are in your life, one of the key things that helped me, and it connects to what both Carla and Kelly have said is really looking at my, I think it's called internal family system, and meeting the different parts of me and the different voices, and accepting them. And really, if I take the people pleaser part of me that was there for many years of my life, applying, as you said, Kelly, everything we would do for others, but truly to myself, really accepting every part of me, really how I meet myself with compassion and with deep love, self-soothing, and really embodying, like understanding the connection to my own nervous system. Because for me in particular, and everyone, as I say, it shows up in different ways. I used to think I wasn't very sensitive in terms of what I felt in my body, but it's because I kept overriding it. I had lived in a very stressed state for a long time, so I didn't actually know what it felt like to feel safe. And then when I did learn how to feel safe, it felt alien to me and took a while. And so now, like last weekend, for example, I was in London and my phone got stolen. And straight away I could feel, because I was in a place of safety and had been for a while, straight away I could feel the sensation rise up. And luckily, with the work I've been doing, I could reach into my toolkit and get to a point where I could function enough to sort out what I needed to, hold myself for the next 24 hours whilst I was processing, and not beat myself up or override it and try and just, get over it and get myself through that situation. So there's a process, but you're asking what can people do? Really accept, meet all the parts of you and accept them and love them.
Beautiful.
We're at time.
Davina, come on, we got to hear you, Davina.
Oh, yeah. There's many. I think for me, one thing that helped me the most was questioning, being curious about what I'm feeling and questioning where it comes from. And because once I'd done that, I'd realized that a lot of the things that I was thinking and feeling weren't mine. They were other people's opinions and thoughts that I thought I had to match. And it was a really big revelation for me, actually, to actually think, like, why do I think that? Why do I feel that way if something goes wrong? Like, why? Where does it come from? What do I think? And just really questioning where it comes from. And like what you said, Kelly, finding a bit of time to sit with it, even if it's 5 minutes. But yeah, I would say be really curious and just question where those feelings come from.
Beautiful. Yeah, and just to kind of quickly, it's like, I think when we keep that curiosity, rather than think it's rigid, we start to be much more flexible in how we experience kind of life. But that curiosity enters a different part of the brain. We're accessing a different part of the brain. So so beautiful. Yeah, I've loved this conversation, ladies, and I'm just aware of time, even though I could talk for hours and hours. But thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for everybody that listens to the recording. Please, we love to hear your comments, your insights, your own journeys. We welcome it all. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. And what's the topic, ladies, in 2 weeks?
Default parenting.
Yeah. For all the parents out there.
All the parents out there.
That's going to be a good one. Mums and dads, default parenting.
Yeah. So come and join us in 2 weeks on a Friday, 1 o'clock, and we look forward to seeing you all then. But for now, bye, and have a good weekend. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone.